What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. Today I'm going to take a little detour, a little side trip, a little stop at a roadside attraction during my Neil Young deep dive and talk about Tuscaloosa, an album, a live show from February 5th, 1973. The tour with the Stray Gators that Time Fades Away came out of. So this actually takes place before the release of Time Fades Away on the tour that was essentially the Harvest tour. It is, I originally was going to save this stuff for I was going to do it chronologically, but there is so much Neil stuff out there. And this got mentioned a couple times in the comments for Time Fades Away. And so I had to go back and revisit it. I just want to share my love for it because it shouldn't wait until I get to the end of this really, really long Neil road to try to encourage people to check it out. It was originally released as one of the discs in Archives 2, and then they released it as its own separate entity. Oh, I guess it was actually released prior to Archives 2, and then it was included in Archives 2. Yeah, I think that's the order it went. It's not the complete show. There's 11 songs on here. The complete show had two other songs, at least two other songs in the set list I've seen. On the Way Home, the Buffalo Springfield song, which was the opener. And then in the middle of the set, they played The Loner. But neither one of these are on this. The Loner was eventually released. I think online. I think it's in the on his website, the Neil Young Archives. I think you can find it there. But I do not believe On the Way Home has been released from this show. Everything on Time Fades Away is much later. One of them I think is like a week later, but almost everything else is like March or April of this tour. This is early February. So these songs are kind of in early versions. The band is Buttry on drums, Drummond on bass. Actually, I don't think Buttry's on drums here. And then he would leave and be replaced by Barbada. Nietzsche's on piano. Ben Keith is doing all the cool pedal steel slide guitar action. Then, of course, we get Neil. So this set opens up with a Neil acoustic guitar version of Here We Are in the Years. Perfect opener. Before I knew that it was not the actual opening song of the show, I thought this was a perfect opener. I still think it's a perfect opener, especially for this disc. Just sounds absolutely beautiful. Then we get a solo piano version. I think it's solo piano. I don't think anybody else plays on this. Of After the Gold Rush. Every time I hear this song, I think those opening lyrics, they remind me of Disney's Robin Hood, which was released. I guess it was released at the time of this performance, but not when he wrote the song. It had not come out yet. But for some reason, just about the archer splitting the tree and all that stuff always reminds me of Robin Hood for some reason. I don't know. But that's on solo piano. So we get like Neil acoustic, Neil piano. I think it's just him on both of these. I just listened to it like 45 minutes ago. But then he invites his friends out. We get what is essentially like a little mini unplugged set. We get Out on the Weekend, which just sounds absolutely fantastic. Just such an amazing song. We get Harvest, which I think works a little better in the live context. It's a song I like off the album. I think it's one of those maybe underdogs on the album. I think in a live context, it just has a little more weight. This is early in the tour. Neil doesn't sound as raw and emotional and at times desperate as he just generally does as the tour goes on. But I think this song, Harvest, I think the closing song, Don't Be Denied, have a little extra. There's still just some kind of pain in there or just something in his performance. It just, to me, gives it a little more weight. We get an Old Man, which I do think the studio version of that is just so perfect. But it's nice to hear Old Man. We get a Heart of Gold. The Heart of Gold closes out the main acoustic set on the album, or the unplugged set on the album. And this is a song where, like, when I revisited Harvest a couple weeks ago, I was surprised at how much I absolutely loved and enjoyed Heart of Gold the couple times I listened to it. And I credited a part of that to the fact that it follows Man Needs a Maid. And I thought that contrast and just the way Heart of Gold starts and just that energy and then all the different instruments coming in, I thought that it was just built to succeed. And like almost anything you put after Man Needs a Maid, it's almost going to be like, yeah, that's going to maybe hit a home run because of who it follows, you know. You're going to be the cleanup batter because this guy's going to get hit by a pitch and make the bases just because. And here in the live context, it's like, okay, I've heard A Heart of Gold way too many times in my life. So it's there, it's good, it's not bad. What follows is Time Fades Away. And Time Fades Away is essentially Time Fades Away, but it just feels like there's a little more country fills in there. There's some really healthy energy coming in there. I'm assuming that's Keith adding those flavors, but really good. Great Time Fades Away. Just slightly different energy. I'm picking up Bob Dylan and the band vibes in here. You know, I'm currently elsewhere on this channel going through the Bob Dylan box set and listening to all the Bob Dylan, the band 74 recordings. And they play in the same set night after night after night. But somehow every song just has a little bit of a different energy or a little bit of a different attitude, or it's just hitting you in a different way. This Time Fades Away has that sort of Bob Dylan and the band energy where everything just seems to be like there's something a little, maybe it's a little more aggressive, maybe it's a little sloppier, maybe it's a little like early in the tour, still not quite polished, though I can't say this band ever really gets polished, but in a good way. I mean that as a compliment. But I really, really like this Time Fades Away. We get a Lookout Joe, benefits from the live energy, that sort of mini jam towards the end, just really has a nice fluidity to it, has a nice attack to it, feels loose and free and just kind of, And then we get a New Mama. And the New Mama is a full-on electric band version of New Mama. Unlike the Tonight's the Night version. I believe the Tonight the Night's version is just, right, it's like 2 instruments maybe 3 instruments, like some like weird percussion, guitar, piano. This is just, it's a rock version by the Stray Gators. It's a different energy. It's a different song. Really cool. Really, really neat. It's one of those things that I think make this, if you're a hardcore Neil Young fan, or even if you're just a really big Tonight's the Night fan, like, you got to check this out. This is pretty cool. We get in Alabama, which when it starts feels almost like Neil's already over the song, like he's already said what he has to say. But then as the song goes on, the music, you feel the intensity. And as he's actually singing these words that he's written, that he's since disavowed, I don't know if he had disavowed them by this point. Probably wasn't until later. Don't really know when that happened. But you feel the energy of the song and sort of the emotion of why he wrote it, and sort of that kind of like that anger, I guess. You feel that start to come through before we hit the end of the song. And then the set closes out. The album closes out. This release closes out. The concert closes out. I think this was the last number, right? I don't know if there were encores in set lists I've seen. Don't Be Denied. Feels a little more, I think it's a tad bit slower. Feels like there's just a little more space. There's a little less urgency. Feels a little grander in its performance. It's like an 8-minute performance. The how long was the version on Time Fades Away? Or not how long was it, but when was that one? So this is February. The Time Fades Away performance was from, excuse me a second while I look this up. Should have looked this up before. My apologies. Was from March 28th. So like almost 2 months later. This one, I don't know if it's hesitant. I don't know if it's a little more cautious, but it feels just a little more careful. Feels like a little more, like there's a little more weight to it, to what he's singing, to sort of the thoughts he's sharing about his life. There's a heaviness to it that it's there on Time Fades Away, but because he's just, I don't know, there's something, I think it's slower. I think that's the reason. But I really like it. It just kind of sits a little heavier, sits a little longer, allows you to seep in that bum ba da ba for a little bit longer. Really, really, really good. And the interesting thing is, at the end, it fades out. It fades out. Like, what? Where's the, how do we end it? How does this song end live? I don't know. But it just kind of fades out. It ends in fading out silence. This is fantastic. It's a great release. Tuscaloosa, released in 2019. I'm pretty sure it's available on CD and all that stuff. But if you're a Time Fades Away fan, if you're an early 70s Neil fan, if you like live music, there's a little bit of everything in here. Yeah, I see. The interesting thing is listening to this, I see how he could have become like a Bob Dylan, and he could have like had a band like the Stray Gators and go out every night and play, similar set lists, but just give them different feels and different vibes, because he's got a band that's so connected with him musically that he's just got to say, hey, we're going to do it a little bit different tonight, but not drastically. Yeah, great release. Everybody who dropped a comment about it on Time Fades Away, thank you for encouraging me to go revisit this once again. I was going to save it till we got to the 2019 chronology. I was going to do it after Songs for Judy, but no, I'm doing it now. I'm glad I did. Not going to rank it because it's its own little thing. I don't think it's fair to compare this to like studio albums. I'm going to give the studio albums their own separate ranking. But I mean, I'll keep it in mind if I ever drop in another live performance, and we'll do a comparison of the live stuff as we go. But that's all I got. But not Time Fades Away. I would put Time Fades Away above this. If I had to rank those two, Time Fades Away, then Tuscaloosa. But yeah, check this out if you haven't. It's an awesome release. That's all I got. Subscribe, like, share, comment, do those things, and peace. Talk to you later.